1977, George Lucas formed a legacy.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
Inspired by mythology, his saga has become a passion for many.
Feel the Force around you.
His legend has become our story.
It's true. All
one of resistance.
we are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
Rebellion.
Rebellion is built on hope.
And redemption.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is Star Wars Reactions.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Star Wars Reactions. We're back. Thank you for joining us. We are going to have a full show tonight for you, and it's going to be a great one as we continue to look at Disney's gallery, The Mandalorian. And we're looking at episodes. What episodes are we looking at? 4 and 5. No, 5 and 6. 5 and 6. Oh wow, that was way off. They're all running together because they're so good. So we'll be looking at episodes 5 and 6 of the gallery, going in the behind the scenes of The Mandalorian as we prepare for the upcoming season 2 premiere at the end of October. So excited for that. It's going to be great. But let's get this going. You know, got to let you know who you're listening to. If you don't know already, my name is Aaron Harris, and joining me is the incredible David Motters. David, how you doing, buddy?
Good, my friend. I'm ready to react as always.
Excellent. How's everything going for you?
Good on this end. You know, you and I thought we should update our listeners a little bit. I wanted them to know that. Well, I can speak for you too about Thrawn Chaos. You and I both finished it. I know in previous episodes we've been talking to, you and I have both been talking about this and talking about it on the podcast, that we're slowly but surely doing more and more books on Audible, and I would absolutely 100% not have it done. Came out, September 1st, and I got it done maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, and that was because of Audible, and really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed Mark Thompson's narration, and really enjoyed the book. So love that. And since we last recorded, finished Shadowfall, the actual physical copy, because we said before, did that, and actually picked up a trade paperback, my brother. The Rise of Kylo Ren. I hadn't gotten that yet.
Okay.
So I got that and I read it by Charles Soule. Enjoyed it. Want to read it again. 4 issues, not 5, 4 issues of that thing, right? It was all delayed and everything. And then I picked up the physical copy of something I think you and I were talking about, which was the Clone Wars Stories of Light and Dark.
Oh, yes.
You know. I think I'm going to get I was talking to you about getting it on Audible as well. I'm trying not to do both, but because of the voice actors doing it, I definitely think I'm going to do it. So, picked up both of those this past Saturday, and here in a little bit, I'll get the Audible version of it and dive in and enjoy it.
Oh, you'll love the Audible version of that. The Clone Wars voice actors, James Earl Taylor, Kat Tabor, Matt Lanter's in there. It's just, and there's more. There's just so many excellent stories, and hearing these characters reading them is just incredible. Like I said before, one of the stories is that final Maul arc where they kill off Duchess Satine. Dude, that thing wrecked me hearing Obi-Wan read that. Oh man, if that episode alone just, you know, pushes you to an emotional brink, but and seeing Obi-Wan holding, you know, you see Obi-Wan holding Satine as she dies and after she's dead, you know, you can only imagine the mental anguish he's going through, and you actually hear what's going through his mind in the story, and it being read by James Arnold Taylor. as Obi-Wan, it was just like, you know what? Rip my heart out, take it away. I don't need it anymore.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, and you and I talked about the one Sam Witwer. They actually put that out at StarWars.com, that whole chapter of him reading. So yeah, well, I already wanted it. Now I want it even more. So, and especially like I said, since I got Shadowfall done and Thrawn Chaos Rising, those are two biggies I wanted to get done. And so yeah, so that's kind of on my end. How about your end?
Well, it's been a busy couple weeks. I actually probably the highlight, and if you followed us on Instagram, you got to be a part of it. Was I made my triumphant return to Galaxy's Edge for the this past Friday. We're recording this on Tuesday, so it was this past Friday I got to go, and it was amazing. Little disappointed I didn't get to I wasn't able to get in the virtual queue for Rise of Resistance. It just filled up too quickly. And the reservations for Oga's Cantina were all completely full, so I couldn't get in there. But I got my blue milk. I got to fly the Falcon again, and got to do a lot of fun stuff that I've not done at Hollywood Studios before. So it was a great day. And plus, I got to pick up this beauty right here. And see if you recognize this. It's coming. Hold on. That's right. I grabbed the Jedi Holocron.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were going to get the Obi-Wan Legacy lightsaber.
Oh, I did that too.
Oh, geez.
I did that too.
Oh my God.
I just love the Holocron. Eventually, at some point, it will actually read or actually do the quote from the beginning of Rebels.
Oh, okay.
Where it's Kenobi, or where Kenobi does the video.
Yeah.
Warning the Jedi to stay away.
Yeah.
So it plays that somewhere.
Yeah.
Still haven't figured out the timing on that yet, but
That's cool.
But it is sweet. Close blue. Drop in the extra kyber crystals in there, and they will go through and change the messages. Pretty sweet. And of course, the Legacy lightsaber got that as well, which I'll do I haven't even opened it yet. It's still sitting in its case. I was going to do a opening video of that.
Nice.
And post that. If y'all aren't on our Instagram page, y'all need to join us on Instagram. SW Reactions on Instagram. I have been. First off, we just hit 100 followers, so thank you everybody for joining us on Instagram. If you haven't yet, you don't know what you're missing. I've actually been having a lot of fun over on Instagram. I've done I've done a lot of live videos. Honestly, I did a lot from Hollywood Studios. Some Star Wars related, some not, because it was Hollywood Studios and I was on rights, and I figured I'd share the fun. But I also have done some unboxings of some trading card sets, and I've just been having fun on Instagram. So check us out over on Instagram, and that's where eventually I will go live and unbox the Legacy lightsaber. Maybe this weekend I'll do that.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
So definitely check us out there. But we got a lot of news we need to get through so we can get this show going, my friend. Let's take a look here. We got a lot of news since we last were here. And since we have been talking Clone Wars a little bit with the Rise of Stories of Light and Dark book, it's only fair to start off with the fact that Funko is releasing a new series of Clone Wars pop figures. Yep, so we're getting some Season 7 characters from the final season of the Clone Wars being released. That will include Ahsoka Tano. There's actually 2 Ahsokas. One is in the outfit from the final arc where she's got her 2 lightsabers. Then there's a chase one out there of her in her coveralls from the Sisters arc.
Yes.
Then, of course, season 7 is not complete without a brand new Maul pop. Bo-Katan is being released. Mandalorian Super Commando, which is what they're calling it, but it's basically those Maldalorians, the Mandalorians in the red armor. And they're also releasing armored Gar Saxon.
Nice.
From that arc as well. And probably my most favorite one, which I know as soon as, if David, you haven't seen this, as soon as you hear it, you'll pre-order it, I guarantee it. They're releasing Wrecker from Bad Batch.
You remember when you and I covered these episodes, you and I were talking about who's our favorite, and I said Wrecker. And then as more episodes went, it was just great. Like when he has the tear in his eye, when Anakin hands him the detonator. He's awesome.
Happiest day of my life.
Exactly. He just blows it up. I love him. I love him more than ever, and I've got to have it because he's my favorite.
Well, they're on pre-order right now, so go pick one up. He is in his helmet, so you don't see his face, but it's there's no doubting that's Wrecker. So those are coming. All information I have is that it's on pre-order now. I don't know an exact release date on those as of yet. So, but those are cool. The rest of our news just kind of goes right along with everything that we got going on today. The rest of this discussion will be all Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest news is the Mandalorian this past week walked away with 7, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Emmy Awards for the first season of Mandalorian. Congrats to them. They tied for the most wins in the 2020 Emmys.
Yeah, you look at this list that you put together on here, buddy. It's really cool. Perhaps the one that I'm the happiest for is Ludwig Göransson for outstanding music composition for a series. Mm-hmm. And I just really dig that guy, and I love the music. So congrats to him and that whole crew. When you look at the whole list there, it's a lot of work, and it paid off.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It most certainly did. They definitely were recognized for their hard work. I'm just going to run through the list. Of course, you mentioned outstanding music composition for Ludwig Göransson. They also won for outstanding stunt coordination for a drama series, limited series, or movie. They won outstanding production design for a narrative program focused in. It was actually for the first episode, Chapter 1, The Mandalorian. They won for outstanding sound editing for a comedy or drama series or animation. Of course, that again was Chapter 1, The Mandalorian. They won for outstanding sound mixing for a comedy or drama series and animation. That was for Chapter 2, The Child. They won for outstanding Carabast. Caravast. They won for outstanding cinematography for a single camera series. That was for actually the Chapter 7, The Reckoning. And last but not least, outstanding special visual effects. And that was for Chapter 2, The Child.
That's awesome.
So 7 Emmy wins. Congratulations to Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, everybody on Lucasfilm and Disney, and the cast and crew who worked on these shows. outstanding and well recognized, and good for them. So happy that happened. I expect season 2 to be full of Emmy wins as well. So
It's nice to see. Like people said, Star Wars in general doesn't get the recognition with Oscars and Emmys and those kind of things. It's kind of more of the mainstream kinds of movies and stuff like that. So I've heard a few different podcasts. I do listen to them, and a lot of them are really happy, for The Mandalorian and for Star Wars to pick up wins like this. It's a bit of, I think, pride as Star Wars fans to see, this many wins. And so, yeah, same as you, buddy. Congrats to the whole crew over there, and I'm excited for season 2. And even Filoni's hinted at it. He says Empire Strikes Back had to be bigger and better than Episode 4, A New Hope. So if it will be, I'm confident in that. And so more Emmy wins, I'm sure, are on the way.
I agree. So it's going to be great. Now looking at Mandalorian a different way. Our next two pieces of news are talking about Mandalorian collectibles. Polaroid. You remember old Polaroid cameras, don't you, Dave?
Oh yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
And have Polaroids. I know exactly what those are. Oh my gosh.
I know. So do I. So Polaroid is releasing a Mandalorian themed instant camera. So for those of y'all that don't know what a Polaroid is, basically you just point, shoot, and all of a sudden the picture just kind of pops out and you lay it there until it develops. Pretty cool. It's basically the camera is colored and themed like the Mandalorian, and the paper, they got special print paper for it, which has got, of course, the child on it. So you can have a completely child-themed photo album taken with your Mandalorian-themed Polaroid. That actually is available now. If you want to get it, just go to wherever you buy Polaroid.
Yeah,
I guess so.
I've seen Polaroid film, and my daughter bought a little Polaroid camera, a little mini one at Target, and so I've seen the cameras there as well as the film. I remember for years it was gone, didn't exist, and so pretty neat. I guess we'll have to get one, buddy, and take some pictures at Galaxy's Edge.
There we go. That's a good idea. Now the next one will actually be this next piece of news, and the next collectible that we're going to discuss will probably actually be the demise of my marriage.
Yes, it will be.
in following the Jabba sail barge success, Hasbro's HasLab has announced their new project, and it is none other than the Razor Crest. That's right, the Razor Crest from the Mandalorian, in its 3 3/4 inch figure scale ship. So you can actually get the 3 3/4 inch figures and play with it. It actually looks gorgeous in their renderings. It has met. I saw today. It has met its first pre-order goal. So the first bonus gift has been announced, which actually is an escape pod. Apparently, there's an escape pod on the Razor Crest. We just haven't seen yet. Right. On the very top of the ship, apparently there's a compartment that opens up and ejects an escape pod. And if you actually go to Hasbro's website and look at the rendering videos, they actually show what it will look like. And literally, honestly, it looks like a photon torpedo from Star Trek, like the one they shot Spock out of in Star Trek II when he died. And
exactly,
it's literally what it looks like. So that is coming on. That's coming with it right now, because they were. Last when I looked at it a few minutes ago, they were over 8,000 pre-orders already, and that was the goal for 6,000. Their next goal is 10,000 pre-orders, and this is what's going to get me in trouble. The reward for hitting 10,000 pre-orders is the vintage collection, The Child with prom.
Mm-hmm. No.
And they got pictures of it up and everything. It is gorgeous. And yeah, part of me just wants it for that.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Now, if you're someone who ordered in the first 6, 7, 8,000, you get that escape pod.
Mm-hmm.
Now, will they get the vintage child,
Yes.
vintage collection, the child with the pram? If
they hit 10,000 pre-orders.
Both of those, right? Everyone
Mm-hmm.
gets both.
Yep, it doesn't matter if you were the first person or the last person to order. Whatever level they're at, you get all the included gifts. So it is where it's at. As of the time of this recording, there are 41 days left in the pre-order. Okay, so they are going to keep the pre-orders open for another 41 days. And if you feel so inclined, the cost of the Razor Crest is $349.99 for this pre-order ship. So, hence the reason I said the demise of my marriage.
Well, especially after the Holocron and the Obi-Wan lightsaber from last Friday.
Exactly. So, yeah. So I'm already walking on thin ice. I pre-ordered that. Yeah. I already have no hair, but what little hair I have would be scalped.
Exactly.
So,
oh my gosh. It
right.
looks gorgeous, man. How much was Jabba's sail barge? I mean, that was
I think that was for like $500.
That's what I thought. It was more than this, yeah.
I want to say it's definitely more than this. I want to say it was like 500 some bucks, and I really need to look up the size on that thing because I know Jabba's was like the size of a 6-foot table or something. I mean, it was ridiculously huge.
Wow.
Do we have dimensions on this? The specs. It is 20 inches wide, 10.5 inches tall, and 30 inches long.
Okay.
Thing is the size of my dog.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to say 20 inches is 2 feet long, so about 2.5 feet long. Yeah. It almost feels like the one. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it strikes me as, I don't know if you watched that 17-minute video. I watched it last night on the Razor Crest and, showing John Knoll and Doug Chang and the other people that worked hard to bring that practical model to life. Almost feels like that size, what they filmed. Yeah.
Yeah, well, looking at this, it says if the campaign, and I'm looking straight at the Hasbro Pulse website, it says if the campaign is successfully backed, which it is, the offering will include the Razor Crest vehicle. It will include the Vintage Collection 3 3/4-inch Mandalorian figure in Beskar armor with a one-of-a-kind soft goods cape.
Right.
And then, of course, they've reached the first unlock, which is the escape pod. So,
wow.
It will run through. It started on September 25th and will run. So, September 25th, today's 20th. So, in 4 days, they've gotten 8,400 backers already. And this will run through November 9th, 2020. So, you have plenty of time.
Save your pennies.
And of course, once complete, they're saying if successful, which it already is successful, the project will begin shipping around fall of 2021. So a year from now, you'll get it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, all right. So if y'all get it, let us know. We want to know so we can talk about it. So
Definitely.
all right. So with that, that wraps up all our news. We got some shows to discuss. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a real quick break, and then we'll be right back with our discussions. Welcome back, everybody. Aaron and David here, and we are going to go ahead and kick off our discussions of the next two episodes of Disney Gallery's The Mandalorian. We're going to start right now with episode 5, entitled Practical. I really enjoyed this episode. One of the things I always liked about Star Wars was, especially with the original trilogy, was the use of practical effects. And seeing how this covered the use of practical effects in this series in a day and age when everything is digital was just, it made me feel good. It made me feel good. What was your initial reaction, David, when you watched this episode?
Yeah, same thing. Just when you listen to all the directors talk about it, they really loved being able to go back to it. Even Bryce Dallas Howard. When I got home tonight, I watched both of these again, episode 5 Practical and episode 6 on Process. But I do remember the very first time watching it, and Bryce Dallas Howard saying how much she loved the convergence of this very old art form with a very new art form. And she obviously says she absolutely loved working with Baby. Obviously Baby Yoda, the child. And so yes, it was neat to see that they were willing to do this versus doing everything just CG. And it really is, anybody who's watched this episode sees all these different people that are old school ILM people to the new school, that they really have a respect for the roots of ILM and where they started with practical effects. So incredibly enjoyable to hear everyone talk about it. And of course they get in, what was maybe perhaps the highlight of this episode was looking at the legacy effects crew, those people who created Baby Yoda and how they brought it to life. That's incredible footage. And seeing the operators of that, right, Aaron? Someone does the eyes, the arms, the head, the legs. It's just brilliant. And so, I mean, I can go on and on and on, but I'll stop there with saying that this is like pulling me back to 1977 when I saw the original movie right there in the theater.
It really is, and you're right. A lot of the episodes literally centered around the child, because that's probably their biggest practical effect that they're using in this show. And who would have thought that a practical effect like this, not just a puppet, would make such a huge impact? They all understand how big of a success the puppet was going to be when they were filming it, when they all are admitting, we're not the star of the show, the puppet is. Pedro Pascal put it best when he said, we're all playing second fiddle to the puppet.
That's impressive. Yeah.
Which is crazy. And the legacy effects crew did a tremendous job putting it together. I found it very interesting. They said it took them 3 months to build that puppet.
Yeah.
Crazy to think it took them that long to build that thing.
Did you and I talk before, Aaron? I had heard rumors, and again, this is not a bad rumor. This isn't, you and I don't do that. But just, it's kind of a fun, exciting thing. I don't know. I don't know if I could Google it, but that thing cost about $2 million.
5. I thought it was 5.
5 million? Oh my good Lord. The thing's incredible. It's incredible. And I'll tell you what, we just talked about that Razor Crest. When you look at all the Baby Yoda merchandise, the child, they're getting their millions back. They're getting it now because there's so much out there now, and more is coming. And but yeah, incredible to see that and to see the people. The woman there who said, she spent the time to create the costume, after it was drawn. But I even like the one guy. I don't know. He was one of the guys from Legacy Effects about how he said there was something that kind of really almost came alive when they were all working together to basically animate the baby. And I know what he's saying. I mean, and obviously Taika Waititi, Gina Carano, all of them talked about how magical it was to be around, and even Werner Herzog, right? I put it in the show notes here. He says filming the baby was, quote, heartbreakingly beautiful.
Well, they gave it so much life,
Yeah.
and so they made it so real. In the episode, Gina Carano was talking about how she'd be in the makeup trailer, and the makeup girls would come in, and the puppet would be sitting there, and they would all just start talking to the puppet like it was a real baby. Oh, how's the baby doing today? Are you having a good day? What'd you do it? It's just to do baby talk to the baby, and it's just incredible. And for the record, it was $5 billion.
Oh my God.
This is according to. I just Googled it real quick. The Nerdist is reporting. Apparently, Adam Pauly, the actor who was the scout trooper who got to beat up the child,
okay.
He from what the article says, after the first take, when he literally wailed on the puppet, Favreau walked up to him after they cut the scene before they filmed another take and told him to take it easy because it's a $5 million puppet.
Oh my Lord. Oh, I would, yes. I would, yes. I if I was Favreau and Filoni, I'd be like, okay, yeah, okay. This is.
At that point, I'd be afraid to even, breathe in its general direction.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, tremendous work with the puppet. Their Legacy Effects crew did incredible work, and you got to see in this, you got to see some of the puppeteers behind it. You get to see the one person that controls the eyes and the mouth, another person controls the hands, and so on. And it's just how they all have to work together to get it done is just tremendous, and it makes and some of the most memorable scenes from season 1 involves this puppet. I mean, I was about to say, who would have thought a puppet could take over a show like that? Then I remembered Jim Henson did. So he's the one that thought it could take over the world. So, and Kermit did, didn't he? But yeah, so great. Oh man, loved it. But there was more to this episode than the child. I loved how they opened the episode talking about how the feel of Star Wars was very, when you go back to the original trilogy, was very realistic. You had, with your first encounters with R2 and 3PO, you see droids that are beat up and have a backstory. You could see the dirt. You could see the dents in the metals. You everything is not perfect like you would expect a future movie to be, and it made it more realistic and practical. Essentially, is essentially what it was. And I loved how all of them recognized that in the beginning. Tayaki mentioned it. Even Rick mentioned it. I'm not even going to try his last name. I know I will butcher it. But talking about the mixture of the practical and special effects made everything so real and relatable because you actually had the pieces there for the people to interact with. which on a lot of sets nowadays. I mean, if you look at even some of Favreau's other works, like Jungle Book, you literally have people in mocap suits literally running around green screens.
Yeah.
You'll have one piece of practical setting or something like a branch or log that they're supposed to be running on, but everything else is green screen. So, I can't imagine how hard it would be to act under those conditions, honestly.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this in a previous podcast when we covered the volume, which I think was episode 5 of this. So it would be in our last episode. But like what that would allow, though, the volume would allow the directors to film right off of The Mandalorian. And if you think about it, he's got that all, silver Beskar look, and the amount of work, like when you see like some of the behind the scenes stuff for, episode 3, when Anthony Daniels is inside a C-3PO, and they showed this. I was just watching this. This woman, she does rotoscoping. I think that's the correct name, where she's taking out all the reflections. George Lucas, the camera, all that out, and making the outer layer there of C-3PO, pristine. With this, with the volume, you've got the actual actor, the actual suit, and they don't have to do that in post-production. Like Favreau said, we welcome the reflections in his helmet and stuff. And in the past, you wouldn't do that. It's just so much work, right? I think about, like you said, like having the volume, having some of those set pieces, like one of the clips they show is when Mando's walking through that little valley area, and then those Trandoshans jump down and attack him, right? And I, just watching that episode for the first time, I had no clue like where the practical stuff ended. Some of the stuff you can see there, and then with Disney's The Mandalorian, or Disney Gallery The Mandalorian, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's the volume right there. Okay, I can see it now, and it's incredible how they blended it. But they didn't just go all CG. They have actual things right there on the set. And the set decorations, they just don't cost as much. They don't have to build a whole thing out, which is incredibly cost saving.
Oh, exactly. And it's it definitely gives them a world of advantage to work with there, because they are really expanding their palette of what they can do by having some practical sets and having the digital to work with as well. What I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Okay.
Carabas.
No.
Carabas.
Yeah.
No.
I can jump in if you want me to.
Go right ahead.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about, piggybacking off something you said about bringing all these things together. There's a real neat part in here, Aaron, where they talk to Misty Rosas, because, we didn't know who was inside of Quill's outfit, but they reveal it here. And it's so neat to see her in there, and how the Legacy crew does work with her. The one guy was so praising of her because she's got the mask on. All these servos are working, and she's trying to listen to Nick Nolte's voice in her ears. And she even says, I'm trying to hit all my spots. And it shows Deborah Chow directing her. And so I thought that was so neat to see that kind of the bringing together of, like what did Misty Rosas call it, Aaron? It's truly choreography. She said,
yeah,
here you have this live you have an actor. You've got the people from Legacy Effects controlling the eyes and the mouth. And then you've got Nick Nolte. So you've got another, in essence, a voice actor. But to coordinate that and make it look that good was just incredible. And so I definitely wanted to mention that as well. I really loved Quill, and I thought it was pretty neat that Quill was played by by Misty Rosas. So that was pretty sweet.
It really was. It was a great story, and I love how even the people that worked with her were so praising of her as well, because she had a lot to work with. I mean, she was inside the headpiece that was made, which isn't just a prosthetic piece. It actually has robotics and stuff in there and servos to move the eyes and the mouth and everything. So while she's doing all the body movements, somebody else is controlling her head and the mouth and the eyes, and she's having to listen and correspond to what other actors are saying so she can move to the right spot and do the right thing. But she's also having to focus through the fact that she's hearing the woo, 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 woo from the servos, the humming and buzzing of the servos every time they move. She's having a lot more to listen to. Plus, she has to mirror the voice of Dick Nolte. So however he says things, however he does it, she has to make sure her body language comes across how he says it. So if he's saying it excited, she needs to make sure that the body language reflects the excitement. So she probably had one of the harder roles in season 1.
Gosh, I would think so. Versus she's talking herself. She has no mask on with all those servos, and she can actually act it out knowing, I'm going to say this excited or sad. No, she has to coordinate all that. But that was a really, really neat section. And so I wanted to make sure we highlighted that too in covering this particular episode. So between Queel, the baby, I guess what's some other stuff? I guess even Deborah Chow talking about working with Werner Herzog, and he was telling her, "Don't be a coward. You guys got to use the puppet. Not all CG." And I thought it was pretty neat too. And you can see it here, buddy, because we're looking at the show notes. That even Favreau, I thought it was kind of neat watching the episode again. He says, I didn't realize they had a CG version of the baby. But they made sure it doesn't do anything that the puppet can't do. And so that's pretty neat versus saying, well, let's create a CG version and it can do a bit more. That's pretty neat,
Exactly. It really is. And it definitely, I didn't know they had the CG version. Makes sense that they would have a CG version, but
yeah.
But it definitely makes sense they'd have the CG version. But it looked great, and you definitely could tell that it really worked for them. So, and you couldn't tell the difference at all, which I absolutely loved. So,
well, and they have of course, a CG version of the Razor Crest, and they've got the practical model too. So similar thing there, and even watching the episode again tonight, you see, I think John Knoll saying, I think, when we did those shots, he says, I think you pretty much can't tell the difference. I mean, those guys can. Their eyes are so professional. But I agreed. I'm like, watching all those episodes, I'm like, we're watching it, right? You and I are watching it for the first time last fall, and I don't know if that's a model or a CG. Same thing with the baby. Until you and I saw this, I'm like, wait, they have a CG model of the baby? And they do. And so I mean, you and I have watched a lot of Star Wars, and Star Wars fans have, but to do it that well and not be able to tell the difference, man, that's something else. Yeah, so cool. I was going to comment on a few other things. You want me to hit a few other things?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. Something that was also in this particular episode that stood out to me was when Favreau, kind of says, "Hey, we're the AV club," and the first thing I thought about was Stranger Things. When that whole crew, they're in the AV club. But they talk about IG-88 and bringing that to IG-11. The blurgs being stop motion, like Filoni says in that little clip where the Mando's looking through his rifle for the first time. Salacious Crumb did not know, Aaron, that the Kowakian monkey lizard that you and I see in The Mandalorian is created by the guy who created Salacious Crumb back for the 1983 Return of the Jedi. Incredible that guy's still alive and he could do that. CNR 5D4. And then, of course, all the stuff on the Razor Crest model that John Knoll did in his garage, and not realizing that his work is what they showed at Celebration last year. He said they kind of had to really get that done because they decided, hey, let's show a clip of the Razor Crest at Celebration, and it was his work with that model. And it just looked it's beautiful, but all kind of cool. I want to point that thing out about the AV Club as well.
Well, I appreciate that because I now have an image of Dave Filoni sitting there on a radio singing "Never Ending Story."
Yeah, yeah, from season 3 of Stranger Things. Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, that's something I will never unsee now. So while I clear my head of Dave Filoni singing Never Ending Story, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back, and we will actually move into the next episode 6, where they discuss the process of making each episode. So we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Aaron and David are still here with you. Thanks for staying with us as we are going through the creative process of making The Mandalorian. We are looking at episode, we just finished up looking at episode 5 of Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian. We are now looking at episode 6, The Process. What I found really unique about this was seeing how much work actually went into making each individual episode. All the not only the scripting, but the storyboards and the previs videos and the pre-animation, all of this stuff that goes in, not exactly how I envisioned the process. What were your thoughts when you first watched the process, David?
Oh my gosh. I can tell you unequivocally just how staggeringly brilliant, Aaron, these people are. They're just bar none. Like there's a section, Aaron, and all of our listeners will know. There's a section where Jon Favreau is talking for kind of an extended period of time, and he's talking, quite honestly, I mean, I have it here in the show. He's talking about Jungle Book. He's talking about previs. He's talking about photography, mocap, digital work, game engine technology, virtual cinema developed that he worked on for Lion King, getting the directors involved earlier, working with stunt teams, and then this flow of it. I've listened to it. I've probably watched the episode, oh gosh, 4 times at least, Aaron. When he talks about that, I mean, I need to sit there and listen to it. And I would love to just be with him and watch him go through that process live. But it's hard for me to even get my head around what he's talking about there. But it's just brilliant. It's incredible. And I want to say this too. I wonder, and it's, Jon Favreau says something at the very beginning of this episode, and this stuck out to me too, really in terms of first reactions, Aaron. He said something that I don't know that I've ever heard J.J. Abrams say, Rian Johnson, other creators, other creatives. He says, this is critical. We decided to look, study, and be influenced by the type of films that influenced George Lucas, right? Originally, Westerns and the Samurais. Instead of looking at Star Wars stuff, him and Filoni and the other crew members, I can see their faces right now, they looked at those things. And I wonder if that's why The Mandalorian felt so Star Warsy, right? As Star Wars fans say. And you wonder, it's like, I can see George Lucas looking at Westerns and Samurais and creating the Star Wars movies. And then here's Dave Filoni. and Jon Favreau looking at these things, and they create the Mandalorian, and you're like, and what have we seen, Aaron? We've seen the fandom reunited on this thing, and so those are the two biggest reactions I have in first impressions of this, is just how brilliant. I mean, I knew Filoni was brilliant, I knew Favreau was, but when he's talking about this, it's incredible how smart this guy is.
Oh, absolutely. It is. It's amazing to see the creative leaks they went to make this feel the way a Star Wars movie would feel. They really went the extra mile. You could tell these guys are fans. There's no doubt in my mind these are fans, because they are sitting there going through the process, trying to find inspiration from the same places that inspired George Lucas, the creator. So it doesn't get much bigger and better than that. And I loved how they went through that. And I loved how Dave Filoni basically just said Han Solo is basically a gunslinger. He's dressed like a gunslinger. Yeah. So it was great. But what was great about this episode too was hearing how these directors, all these different directors, came in and worked in this setup that Favreau got going for them. I found it very unique for Rick Famuyiwa. See, I'm butchering the name.
Well, I think now he might say Rick Famuyiwa.
What he said.
Famuyiwa. Yeah, I think I've got it.
What he said. So to hear him talk about the creative process with the storyboards and the previs of they basically would do it almost a computer generated episode, visualizing where everything was going to be and how it would run. And hearing him sit there, he's like, I came from like small independent movies where we're writing it as we go, and sitting back and seeing all this previs stuff. He's like, man, this is how it works when you got money.
Right.
Which is incredible. And even Bryce Dallas Howard, who has a lot of experience working in movies, and she's done a lot of previs work on the acting side of it, was sitting there like, I thought it was absolutely incredible how they had previs pretty much for every story going straight through. So we had a shared workflow, so they knew what was going on. And I think that definitely contributed to the success of the flow of the season.
Yeah. Well, to hear her say that, and how, you're right, she's been in the Jurassic Park movies where there's previs and she's having to, believe there's dinosaurs there and all that kind of stuff. But like she says, like for the whole show was previs, whereas parts were before. But that's amazing, and that they can do that now, not just storyboard it, but pre-visualization. And when anybody watches those episodes, those previs renderings, they look really cool. I mean, they're pretty close. And of course, then I was thinking about Filoni, and some of those. It's like when you were talking with Greg on the Rebel Base card about watching the animatics, that Filoni would do for the Clone Wars. That's what those previs are striking me as.
Yeah.
When Bryce Dallas Howard is speaking and they're showing some of the brief pre-visualization, for example, Singing Birds, when those fired out, they're in the client, Werner Herzog's layer, seeing the previs of that, I'm like, oh my gosh, you start to sit there and say, you don't even need actors anymore. You're like, I did a little bit of cleanup here and there, and oh my gosh, you got the stormtroopers look incredible. The Singing Birds does, the Mandalorian himself in his armor. I'm like, oh, mackerel. And Filoni made the comment, right? He's like, when I hear all of you live action people talking, I'm like, well, that's what we were doing, and that's the process we've always done for like the Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff like that. So that was neat to kind of see two worlds come together, live action and animation. But
Oh yeah, two worlds definitely collided in this. And Dave, I love it. Dave was like, "Yeah, I'd go back over to where all the animation guys were and be like, hey, yeah, they're talking about us."
yes, exactly.
Yeah, that was my really bad Dave Filoni. Dave, I'm sorry. Please come on the show.
Could you imagine? Oh man, that'd be incredible.
But yeah, no, it was just a lot of fun seeing the whole creative process of building the episodes, and I really hope they do something similar to this for season 2.
Yeah.
Well,
you mean the Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian?
Yes. Yeah.
It's so funny you said that. Before I came on with you, I was watching the 2 episodes, looking at our show notes, and I'm like, they've got to do it. I mean, I so enjoy it, and it gives them more content for Disney Plus. I can't imagine they wouldn't. I mean, they're so enjoyable.
They really are, and it gives it gives you a look that you did. I mean, you get behind the scenes stuff all the time. Shows do behind the scenes stuff all the time, but there was just something different about this series that gave us such a unique behind the scenes look that you're not going to get it anywhere else. It's amazing.
Yeah. One last comment about Deborah Chow. She said something that was very interesting in that episode 3, where we get to see the Mandalorians fly in. It's just mind blown. I love that episode. She said something that was incredible. I mean, you think about this, and this is where you think about how George Lucas wanted, and he did. He said it, and he wanted to be able to make these to the quality of a movie, but just couldn't get the price down. But Deborah Chow talked about it in this particular episode about how we wanted to keep the level of Star Wars up on this show. But she said that last scene, she said historically, if you were doing a movie, you'd take about 2 weeks to film that scene. She said we had 3 days.
Oh,
now,
Lord.
Think about that. If you're Disney and you're Lucasfilm, and here you have a director who can do this in 3 days instead of 2 weeks, that's how you can do it financially. I mean, that's incredible. She said we did it. We did it in 3 days, like a shot like that. All the clips we had, everything we were firing off, 25 bounty hunters on set. Obviously, the baby's on set. The Mandalorian is, and all these flying Mandalorians. To do that in 3 days instead of 2 weeks, that's how you have film quality, but yet it can be on a TV show on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So anyway, just wanted to point that out.
Love it, love it, love it. So, yeah. So I think that pretty much wraps up our discussions of these 2 episodes tonight. Let us know what you thought of the Mandalorian, the gallery, Disney Gallery Mandalorian, of these 2 episodes, 5 and 6. 7 and 8, the last 2 episodes are coming up on our next show. And then we will be pretty much as prepared as we can be for season 2, which is a month away. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
The day this episode releases, we will be 1 month away from the premiere of season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Right. That's right. And hey, can you and I, today's the 29th, tomorrow's September 30th, give a birthday shout out to Dan Z himself from Coffee with Kenobi. If anybody listens to this tomorrow on the 30th, send a tweet out or well wish to Dan. It is his birthday tomorrow. Absolutely.
He's a good friend of the show, a good friend of ours personally. He is a tremendous guy. So happy birthday, Dan. Thank you for all you've done for us. And we look forward to getting you on here very soon, my friend. So happy birthday. So, David, if somebody wants to go on and talk Star Wars with you, how would they go about doing that, my friend?
Absolutely. On Twitter, it's always been the same. It is David David _Modders, MODDERS. And then email is, I keep forgetting this because I'm not checking it a whole lot, Aaron. It's David at StarWarsReactions.com or SW Reactions?
Nope, Star Wars Reactions.
Okay, I got it right the first time.
You got it right the first time. So, perfect. So, of course, if you want to talk Star Wars with me, the best way to do that is Twitter. My personal Twitter is TAHarris121079. Check us out there. Or, of course, you can email me, Aaron at StarWarsReactions.com. If you are Carabast again. I'm Carabasting all through this episode, aren't I? Carabast! And all I can think of is Agent Callus. Carabast! What does that mean? Love Rebels. Anywho, make sure you're following the show. Of course, you can follow us on all of our social media accounts. Twitter, SW Reaction Pod. Facebook, Star Wars Reactions. And, of course, Instagram is, of course, the SW Reactions, like we mentioned earlier. Or, of course, you can email the show and let us know what you think. Show at StarWarsReactions.com. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, and give us and let us know what you think of these episodes and what you think of the Star Wars the Gallery. That's not what it's called. It's Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian. Man, I am just having tongue fits tonight. Let me stop. Take a James Arnold Taylor drink of water. All right, I'm refocused. So, and if y'all listen to James Arnold Taylor's podcast, you'll get that. But yeah, follow us on our social media accounts and let us, and we'd love to hear from you. So, David, my friend, it's been a crazy night for me, but this has been fun as always.
Oh, I love it, buddy. I love all our Carabast moments. And being able to cover the Mandalorian show itself, as well as these behind-the-scenes shows. So enjoyable, fun to react with you, and hopefully our listeners can laugh a bit at our imperfections.
Exactly. And we do appreciate each and every one of y'all who listen in and interact with us. Y'all are awesome. We appreciate you. Y'all are the best listeners and fans. We appreciate y'all. We're praying for y'all daily. We're almost through 2020, folks. We're getting to the end. We got something to look forward to. Mandalorian is a month away, so there is hope. So, all right. David, my friend, it's been great. Remember, everybody, this is, oh my Lord, this is the Resistance podcast you're looking for. No, it is not. It used to be. Oh my Lord. I need to go to bed.
I know, both of us. I know you had a late night. Do you want to go back? And do we want to go back?
This is your place for elegant discussion for a more civilized age. Hey, I did it.
There you go.
If you would like to share your thoughts, you can email us at show@starwarsreactions.com for our show notes and the latest news from the Star Wars universe. Visit our website at www.starwarsreactions.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWReactionsPod or on Facebook at Star Wars Reactions. If you enjoy our show, please leave a review on iTunes. This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or by Lucasfilm Limited. It's intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, All names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Star Wars Reactions unless otherwise indicated. Star Wars Reactions, elegant discussion for a more civilized age.